Okay, guys, I'm here. Took me a minute. Had some issues this morning. Was not was not fun. But before we get started, let's just go over again. I know I've gone over this for the past month, and there's still going to be someone in this class or maybe the other classes that emails me on Monday saying, "When is our final?" And it's going to frustrate me, but it happens every semester. The final test is in 2 days, right? And then it's over. This class is over, which is nice. Hold on. Give me just a second. I don't know what. Um, boom, 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 boom. Hold on. Yes. Yeah, so it's this Friday. It's open 8 to 5. I know some of you have already emailed me about needing a little more time, not for the test, but later in the day to take it, and that's fine. I've opened it up if you've emailed me. I know a lot of you guys get off at 4:30, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock for work, so that's no big deal. You need to email me though for me to kind of put that in there for you. If not, I won't be able. If not, it closes at 5, and you've got 2 hours to take it. I'm not. I don't think it should take you 2 hours, but a lot of people use all their time no matter what, especially for this test, because the better you do on this test, here let's replaces lowest test grade, right? The better you do on this, the better chance your grade goes up for it when it replaces your lowest test grade. So the better you do, the better overall. It's more than just a regular test in that sense. Um, it is 40 questions. I think it's actually only 39 questions. I had to cut one because it just wasn't how I liked. I didn't like it the way it was worded. If you get done and you feel like something wasn't right, if you feel like the answer wasn't there, you are more than welcome to email me. The thing about this test is, hold on, let me put this on me. Um, I don't know why it's so high up. This test, you won't be able to see what you got right or wrong because I'll use it again probably as a final. So it's not like the previous tests where I don't mind if they're out there because I'll change those up. This test is different. It's a final, so I'll reuse it. So therefore, I don't want it just sitting out there in space somewhere. So you won't be able to see what you got right or wrong. But if you feel confident that maybe an answer wasn't right or something wasn't right, feel free to email me and I'll check that for you. It's no big deal. Um, Not a big deal at all. Okay. Do you guys? I know Brianna and Janie are in here. Do you guys have any questions about the final, the structure of the final, anything in that sense that's going on? You can give me a thumbs up if you're fine. Okay, yeah, that's right. Okay, I feel like the lights aren't on in here. Okay. Okay, so then now I'm going to turn it over to questions. Do you guys have questions about the final for me? I can do kind of a basic. Have you had a chance to go back through your old tests? That's what I would do. I would go back through all 5 tests now, um, and make sure that you review them, and that way it can rational zeros. Oh, okay, yeah, we can go over that. That's not a big deal. We can review that. I might just steal some from the book, um, just because it kind of brings up a lot of stuff. You're talking about finding zeros, right? Finding rational zeros. Yeah. Yeah, we can hit that. Hold on. Let me switch back over. I think I only turned on one of my lights. There we go. Okay. Keep this for the next test, so I don't have to write it again for the next class. So let's look at finding zeros. This was, I believe, in chapter 3. Yeah, chapter 3. A good example will look like this. F of x equals, let's say x cubed minus 10x minus 12. Okay, and it's going to say find all zeros. Is this what you were talking about, Janie? You can give me a thumbs up, or if it was something different. Okay. Yeah, look real quick. I'll do this one no matter what, but if this isn't exactly it, we can go over a different one. Not a big deal. I'm going to work on this one, and then if it's not the right one, Jenny, okay, it says find a rational zero and use it to find. Oh, yeah. No, this is perfect. So this one will be where, find a rational zero, use it to find all zero. This is exactly it. Perfect. Okay. So the first thing we have to do is find, look, this is a third degree polynomial. We need to kind of get that in our mind. This is a third degree polynomial. That means, hey, we're going to have 3 zeros, right? And with that 3 zeros, we can't use a quadratic formula because quadratic only works with the second degree polynomial. So this was a 2 there, it'd be super easy. It's just a quadratic. We set it equal to 0 and solve, okay? But since it's a third degree, we're going to have to divide out a 0 and then solve for the last 2. And just like Danny said in the chat, look, you're going to have to find a rational 0 and then divide it out and then solve it. So the easiest way to do that, and the way we went over in class, was to use the calculator, right? And I'll tell you on the test, that's exactly what I would do. I would graph it. So the first step in this problem, whenever you see finding zeros, I would graph it first, just so you get an idea of what this thing looks like. So I'm going to go to y equals, I'm going to put in x cubed minus 10x minus 12, and then I'm going to graph it. And what I'm looking for is where this thing crosses the x-axis, okay? Where this thing almost looks like it bounces right there. Oh, gosh, I hope I don't see anywhere nice. Now, this rightmost 0, you see that, the rightmost 0? It crosses in between like 3 and 4. That's not going to be helpful. The left 2 zeros on the left-hand side of the y-axis, maybe one of those is a whole number. An easy way to check that is, if you can't really see it well, go to the table. So if we hit second table, oh yeah, right there, boom. See -2? -2 has a y value of 0. That means it's a 0, right? Remember, if you plug in x and you get back 0, that's really the definition of a 0. You plug that when whatever x value gives you back, y equals 0. So -2 is a 0. So we found the first 0, and that's what you're talking about. Find a rational 0. We found one. X equals -2. Now, look, there were a few ways to check it. You could plug it in. I think my marker's about to go up. Let me change colors. You could plug it in and see if you get back 0. That's one way to check it. Or you could divide it out synthetically. And I'm going to do that. So I'm going to divide it out synthetically. If I get back 0, I know this is a 0. Now I got to be careful here. There's no x squared term. So I'm going to do 1, 0. Remember, it's a 1 here. 1x cubed, 0x squared, negative 10x, and negative 12. And then I'm going to go through synthetic division. So 1, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply. Oh, yeah. Boom. We found a 0, right? We divided out negative 2 and we got back 0. Remember, this was whatever you would get back if you plugged it in. That was that remainder theorem. So I divided out negative 2. I got back 0. Therefore, this is one of our 3 zeros. And what it gives us is the quotient. So really what we have at this point, remember, if x equals negative 2 is the 0, x plus 2 is the factor, right? And then this little trinomial here is the quadratic left over. 1x squared minus 2x minus 6. Okay? Janie, questions about that? You can give me a thumbs up. Is it making sense now? Is it coming back? We haven't done this in a few weeks, right? And we've had Thanksgiving break. That's a lot going on. Okay. So now we have to solve the last two. And remember, to solve the last two, this is a nice quadratic. This is our safety couch. X squared minus 2x minus 6 equals 0, right? And then we just solve it out. I don't think this factors. It'd be nice if it did. But it's like negative 3 and 2 don't add up to a negative 2. And negative 6 and 1 don't add up to a negative 2. So this doesn't factor. We're going to have to solve it. I'll just use the quadratic equation. Actually, I'll do it up here. So x equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4 times a. Ooh, a is a 1, actually, a positive 1. Ooh. Negative 4 minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. Okay, so we get x equals 2 plus or minus the square root. Now, I'm going to plug this in my calculator, so it would be, clear it out, 4, negative 2 squared, minus 4 times 1 times negative 6. So it's going to be 28 under the calculator, all over 2, right? 28 I can simplify. 28 is 2 times 2 times 7, right? Because it's 4 times 7. So I can take out a 2. So 2 plus or minus 2 square root of 7 all over 2. And then look, we've got 3 2's going on. I can divide all 3 of those by 2. And I wind up with 1 plus or minus the square root of 7. And that's my last 2 zeros. And I'll tell you, solving this little quadratic, that's also going to be on the final. It'll just give you a quadratic and it'll say solve it. Boom. Okay. And that would be your final answer for that question. But remember, this question was find all the zeros. So all the zeros are going to be negative 2, 1 plus the square root of 7, and 1 minus the square root of 7. Boom. Ooh. We can't have any more zeros, right? We have a third degree. That's the most we could have. Okay. That's all of our zeros. Hopefully that helps, Janie. I think that's a good question. That's a good capstone question for college algebra. Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay. Any other questions? I'll tell you guys, and I know a lot of us watch this like later in the day. If you send me questions, we've got tomorrow to review this too. So if you send me questions, if you're like, hey, can you look at my test 3, number 5? I don't mind doing that. Okay. But you've got to send me that before tomorrow so I can do it in class. Excuse me. I feel like I'm like taking requests at a at a piano bar or something. Okay. Brianna, Janie, keep looking. I don't mind going over anything. Okay, here's what we can do. And it won't be specific. This will be a good kind of broad review for today. And it won't take that long, but a broad review. And we'll go over, I'll just kind of go over the topics just so you kind of remember them. And then that way you can look at your test tonight and go back and look and see which ones you missed and what you need to review for. Okay. If you guys don't have questions. Now, if you have questions, just send them to me. Not a big deal. Hold on, let me get it. I'm going to think of this test like kind of like in buckets in a way, and the topics in each bucket. And some buckets are kind of on their own. And this is definitely not going to be in order. So this is going to be, I'm looking at the test now kind of, and it's randomized. The question order is randomized. I did not want it to be that way, but then as I can go, I can kind of put these in the bucket they go in. So the first thing I'm looking at is a matrix. So this is not in any order, as we know that we just went over matrices. Now in the matrix bucket, we've got to be able to find the inverse. Multiply. And then understand the order. Remember how the order was like 2 by 3, 4 by. I told you that was going to be the easiest question on the test. And then the equality and addition. I'll put equality. Addition. Subtraction. Okay. And then we had like the function section. I know that's kind of on its own, but the function section, we had to determine if a graph is a function. Remember the vertical line test. We had to determine if an equation, I'll say determine if an equation is a function. Find the domain of the functions. And then we had to pull stuff off of the graph. This is when we had like increasing, decreasing, and then constant. And then I'm going to put, oh, no. Yeah, that was kind of its own thing. So then we had, I'm going to put quadratics here. We had solving quadratics. It's kind of what we just did a second ago. You know, where I just give you a quadratic equation, you have to solve it, however you want to solve it. Not a big deal. And then we had graphing a quadratic, finding the vertex. Those were all in that quadratic section. Say find in the function section back over here, there was finding y equals mx plus b. Your book put it in that section. So finding y equals mx plus b, finding a straight line function, that was in that function section. Okay, I ran out of room here. So I'm going to keep going with functions. A big chunk of this test, or of college algebra is about functions. We also had finding inverses. the composition, transformations, this isn't from y equals mx plus b. This is from the function section. Okay, I'm just continuing on with the function section here. And then I'm going to say in its own section, finding zeros. That finding zero section, hold on. Because there's a lot that led up to the finding zero section. We had to synthetic division. You're going to have a synthetic division question on there. Just do synthetic division. And then finding zeros. And that was a question that Janie asked. That was a good example of that. Finding all zeros. And then we had, let me make sure I'm not, yeah. Oh yeah, give all possible rational zeros. And then we had the rational functions. In rational functions, you need to focus on finding their domain. Finding horizontal and vertical asymptotes. And then once you find all those, to graph it, it'll be multiple choice. So it'll be like you have to find all this stuff and then graph it, right? And then I think kind of ends with exponentials and logs. So I'll do exponentials / logarithms. We've got to be able to, hold on, make sure I'm in the right spot. Yeah, we've got to be able to do the compound interest question. The compound interest question. Simplify logs, right? That like 4.2 and 4.3 were really all about simplifying logarithms. What else was on here? Yeah, I think that's about it. Oh, solve. Solve log and exponentials. Okay, solve log and exponentials. Yep, and then write in both forms. Remember when we went back and forth? That was really the very first thing. So we wrote in logarithm and then we converted it to exponential and vice versa. I gave you an exponential and we wrote it in logarithm. That was the very first thing in that section, 4.4. No, 4.2. Excuse me, 4.2. Okay. All right, I know that was a lot. I mean, I'm throwing it all out there at you, but that's really everything we went over this semester. Okay. Excuse me. Everything we went over this semester. So that's a good kind of base for you guys to study tonight and tomorrow night. But when you're looking at your tests and you come across questions that you don't remember, if it fits in one of these buckets here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, kind of 6 buckets, if you look at them. So we got the matrices, function, quadratics, finding zeros, rational functions, and exponentials and logs. So if it kind of fits in one of those, let me know, and then we can go over it tomorrow. Okay. Janie, Brianna, do you guys have any questions? If not, I'm not going to keep you here. I'm really wanting questions tomorrow. It'll be really a question-driven review tomorrow. So please come with questions. Come with 2 or 3 at least. Even if you got them right on the test, come with them so we can review. Okay. There's just too much for me to just pick and choose what's out there. I mean, it's too many topics. I can't teach it all in one day. So the information or the topics you come with are what we can really sit down and look at. Okay. Janie, Brianna, do you guys have any questions? Comments or concerns? Okay, I'm gonna stop the live stream. You guys can stay in there if you want, but I will see you all tomorrow. Again, remember the test is in 2 days and then we're done. Okay. And then we'll get a great Christmas break. So I'll see you guys.